Welcome back to the desk for our final matchup of opening day here on the European side of the SPL. Fantastic setup here. We've got Paradigm versus Panthera.
I don't get to catch you that often. This is kind of nice.
I know!
For a big set as well. And to be fair, we saw the big boys in Europe with Hungry for More versus Cringe Crew, but now we get the powerhouses of Europe going at it on day one.
No, I'm really excited. This is one of the matchups that everybody's been waiting for to see as far as the long off-season. Paradigm, Panthera, they met up in a couple of lands. Now it's here in the regular season. And like you said, man, I'm glad to get the cast.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one as well. Paradigm, obviously, coming off the back of a pretty good performance during the recent tournament that we had for the Epsilon Invitational, as well as Panthera themselves. You know, they took down the Epsilon Invitational, they took down DreamHack. However, they did start dropping games, and Paradigm, one of those teams that can do that.
A little bit. Paradigm definitely seemed to have more of Panthera's number than anybody else.
I agree.
But with that said, they've just got a portion of it. We'll see how this one works out. I think as we come into the regular season, it's also worth noting the different levels of intensity of play, right? It's all about the in-betweens are all well and nice, but Fall Split, this is about Worlds.
It's always about Worlds, and that's exactly what we're after here. Worlds tickets are still on sale right now. As you can see, I'm going to check the bottom of the screen. It's hi-rez.expo.com. I was hoping for a full screen graphic. I'm just going to look down and see. No, I was wrong. Feels bad.
It's hi-rez.expo.com.
These tiny little monitors.
That's hi-rez.expo.com.
I got it right.
You said you were wrong.
No, I just didn't want to look down. That's all it was.
Ah, well,
Moving anyway. We've got chests on sale, though, right?
We certainly do. We've got a whole bunch of things going online as well. Louisiana flood relief, our friends in L.A. Well, not L.A., but you know what I
was going to say, even I know it's not L.A. It's a different state.
That's the abbreviation. Anyway, Louisiana, they've had some tough times, so we're going to go their direction. Every row of the Independence chest between now and August 29th will donate $2 to the American Red Cross to help out those people in need. Certainly a good chest as far as skids are concerned, but more importantly, as far as I'm concerned, helping out those folks, definitely a big deal.
Let's move on to the real game now. Paradigm versus Epsilon. These two teams, Panthera, I keep saying Epsilon because it's the Epsilon Invitation, but these two teams are hot. I'm excited to see how they're going to play at the start of the season. It's a big game for both of them because they both want to stamp their authority on the league straight away and be like, yo, we're back again. And for Panthera especially, they're like, well, end of the season, we teetered off on purpose because we don't have to worry so much. But it's a new league, it's a new day, and it's the run for the Worlds.
Let's get to it. Paradigm versus Panthera. It's a matchup that really needs no fanfare, no explanation. It's just a damn good matchup. Panthera on the left will have the first pick and the first ban. So we'll take a look at how this one goes. You're so cheeky.
Cheeky what?
You got your PogChamp face on the back.
You're not supposed to draw attention to it.
No, I'm doing it right now. You
shouldn't have done that at all. But yeah, we're in picks and bans. Interesting notes between these two teams as well. Panthera do have Paradigm's number. It's the only team Paradigm actually lost to last split whatsoever there. It's the only team that had a negative record. Everybody else, it was at least even with them. 1-3 against Panthera. Susano taken out.
So no surprise that Susano's going to be gone. Really has less to do with QvoFred, just he's a strong jungle pick overall. But really, I want to see where else the bans come, because we've got the Nemesis that needs to be banned. We've got the Fafnir that needs to be banned. So many of these absolute necessary bans.
And the problem is Panthera and Paradigm, they scrim partners for quite a while, especially for the DreamHack tournament that we had recently. They were scrim partners all the way through, coming out of Europe to help out, and then again, we saw that for the Epsilon Invitational too. So overall, these two know each other so well, and they actually get on really well together. So they know each other's ins and outs a little bit more these days.
Which is why we see the Chronos ban against Paradigm. You don't want to give that to Lawbster, you don't want to give that to Funballer either.
But there's also Freya. Freya's another one to mention here in the early stage. We may not see it just yet, but Funballer is not scared to run that one. And I know emilitoo doesn't really like dealing with a Freya.
But does Panthera like to pick it?
I mean, at this stage of the game, Kuang is available. You could look at first picking it for yourself, but you do open yourself up to having it turned around and you potentially, but someone like adapting the #1 most deadly player in the world in terms of kills from last split, he could easily make that happen.
I mean, definitely. The Freya or the Kuang are the two choices that if I'm on Panthera, that's the conversation I'm having right now.
Sometimes I think Freya very early is a very risky thing to do because it can be counterpicked into, but at the same time, it's also the option of like, if you don't pick it early, you get it taken away from you as well, which could be an issue. But there is the Kuang.
After a long time in deliberation, Panthera wind up landing on the Kuang. No surprise there. See the Assassin Mage show
and then
up.
I'm looking Bacchus Freya as a possibility here, especially because I expect they may run the Freya. With Chronos taken out, means Lawbster can't run that. Although Vulcan has been a predominant one just lately, and we may see them go to that as well instead.
I mean, Lobby does love the Vulcan, but I'm more along the lines of the dual lane. I think the Bacchus Freya perhaps is the more Paradigm selection here.
But then, when I think about that, you want Bacchus potentially here, but do you really want to put a Freya with that one? Well, that's Ho Yi, and that kind of tells me more than likely not. Freya Bacchus lane very, very early game, they're going to give up a lot of pressure in that lane and can force issues in the jungle from the other
Okay,
team.
I see. I thought you were saying Frey and Bacchus were an early game comp.
Come on. That's rude. There's a Vulcan, though, that I expected. So Bacchus is available here. And I think that is one of the ones that we could see Panthera or Paradigm go to. Both Trixtank and iRaffer do love that god.
Geb will be iRaffer's selection. Early Geb. Early Geb.
Very
Alongside
early
the
Geb.
Apollo.
Now, Geb's pretty good against Vulcan in the fact that he can avoid a lot of the damage in terms of giving the teammate a shield to get him out of a situation. And that also supports an Kuang that's going to be diving in very early. But it does really relinquish a lot of pressure in the early game. Geb not so good in the laning phase and has a hard transition to that mid-game point where he's still able to be picked off. We saw that yesterday with Incon on the side of ALG.
Geb, iRaffer, one of the few people that still go the direction of Geb in this hyper-aggressive world of Ares and Bacchus. Well, what would you say the plural of Ares be?
Ares.
Ares?
Yeah, just extend the E's a little bit more.
E's.
Ares.
Bacchus is definitely Bacchae.
Here's the funny thing, right? Neither of us mentioned Erlang Shen. Neither of the teams picked Erlang Shen in the first phase, and then it gets counterbanned then.
The Circuit is the ban that I wanted to. Erlang Shen is one thing or another, but the Circuit ban comes out. Panthera's got some ideas, and I think they might have healing in their future.
Well, dot damage from Circuit is a thing, and a lot of people underestimate that, I should say. And against an Kuang, it is something that can hurt him quite a bit. That poison spread, the dot damage from that, will bring him out of the illusions. So it is a possibility they don't want to deal with that, and they've also got to be careful. QvoFred, I will class as a hard carry.
So Paradigm see the Circuit ban, and they go and they ban out Isis. That's sort of what we're... But the Guan Yu coming out of Panthera ban, interesting.
I mean, the Isis ban is kind of standing against a Vulcan here, because Vulcan can't actually knock you up with the meatball against an Isis. The Wingus will stop that because she's immune to knockups. So take it off the table. It's something very safe that Yammyn can play in the mid lane. But it's Yammyn. He could just run a Hunter there if he so chooses.
I mean, Yammyn will play anything he wants. I've come to the full realization that if Yammyn decides to select Naja mid, we just got to say okay.
Well, here's the thing. Like, we see the Geb drafted by Panthera, but I can't really talk bad about that because this is Panthera. This is the world champions.
Exactly.
Still not defeated at land. So if they're going to play it, I'm like, well, okay, a normal team, I may call you out for that, but I can't really do this here.
One of my favorite plays from Worlds comes out of a iRaffer shield. I mean, Geb is a choice that we see it more on the guys like Paradigm, where, all right, the Transcendence Chalk is a Paradigm pick, right? That's something they're going to do. Geb has really turned into a iRaffer choice, which, coming full circle, iRaffer, jungler to support, started out trying to make things like Thor and Thanatos work.
That's true.
Now, he's leaning on ultra-safe Geb.
Well, this composition from Panthera with the Chiron locked in for mid lane Yammyn here more than likely. I think that's why we see the Geb now, is because it's a lot of squishy targets that you can support from the back. These can all be, they're all aggressive players in their mindset, Panthera. And the shields from the back will give them support. You can peel very well with a Geb, with those knockups as well, just to slow down their opposition a little bit. I don't think we're going to see iRaffer being the engager for this team at all.
I'm still stuck on the Circuit ban. Fenrir round out, and both teams have fantastic compositions, but I just don't know where the Circuit ban comes from.
Fenrir is an interesting one, because Fenrir is something that Kuvo started to introduce more and more into his god pool as the seasons have progressed. He never really seemed to like it to begin with in the season, but picking it into a Geb is definitely an interesting thing, because Ragnarok immediately cancelled out by the Geb shield if you pick up a target, but that means that iRaffer would have to be there in the first place.
Right, so certainly going to make the opposition think at least a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, Panthera and Paradigm on their first matchup of the split. One of the more exciting matchups that we have here, regardless of region. NA, EU, doesn't matter.
And we saw this actually at the Invitational too. Both the teams respect each other, know each other well. There's going to be no shenanigans at the start here. Lawbster might throw an auto attack here. See how covered he is? He actually walked backwards on purpose. He's like, hey buddy,
beep,
how's
beep.
it going?
Beep, beep, just walking backwards.
But these are two of the best European teams, like, for sure. They've been to pretty much every event since last year. Like, since summer last year, they've come to every event, and they've pretty much been 1-2 consistently. Other than Fnatic being in amongst there for a little while, these are the top two teams in Europe.
What I like about the duo lane is we're riding along with emilitoo. This is one of the bigger differences between Panthera, Paradigm, and some of the other teams, NA, EU alike, is that we see this out of some North American teams as well. The rush into the Ichabal, all these guys want to do is fight.
I mean, that's all it's about, is getting that power spike online, looking for the trades. And to be fair, between these two hunters, it's going to be interesting to see how Funballer ends up playing this, because against an Apollo in the early game, with that Ichval, it could come back to haunt you just because of his passive.
With that in mind, I don't think that's going to deter Funball too much.
No, not at all. You know what the play starts, especially with a Trixtank in the lane on the Bacchus.
Right.
The funny thing is, both these Hunters, I'd actually say lane pressure is actually in Panthera's favor here, just because I do not feel Ho-Yi and the Bacchus together are going to outpush the push alone from Apollo.
I mean, the Apollo is just scary. He's going to use his basics to both clear and push. Right side Harpy's taken out by Paradigm very quickly. Very quickly.
Yeah, the right hand Harpy's already gone down, but you can see the fire elementals pushed in as well by adapting, and Frenzy will get those after pushing out the solo lane. So Yammyn got a bit more farm on his own, actually still going aggressive there.
Yeah, just an extra poke. Find the basic onto the Fenrir, who already finds himself low. Look at this wraparound from adapting. Could be deadly. Only level 2, however. There's the brutalized knockup from Lawbster. Gonna miss.
And then what he actually did there was stop them doing the left on Harpies, which is a good thing, but it was such a risky play to make it only level 2. You don't have that many abilities as Kuang at level 2 to really make an impact and get a kill. Instead, he did detract him.
He made sure that he had water illusion. Without the illusion, he doesn't, adapting doesn't make that play.
But would you look at this, Bacchus and Ho-Yi now rotate from Paradigm. Make sure they secure those left on Harpies and actually get the lead in the game, just based off those mid camps that are always contested.
And that's something we've seen Trix do a lot. Make this rotation for these left side Harpies pretty much almost every game at this point. This is part of what Paradigm like to do. They want to get off to a nice early lead.
These comps are very, very good for multitude of reasons. Panthera could look for objective control alone with 2 Hunters here. Even just tower push over and over again is definitely going to be an advantage as this game goes on. But the side of Paradigm, I mean, team fight AoE-wise, it's just so much control in these engagements in terms of not alone just control, but burst damage too.
Tower damage. I think you nailed it right there, Hindu man. That's why we see, that's not why we see, but Kronos does a great job of it, allowing the team to sort of spread out the tower damage. With Yammyn having that Chiron mid and some of the other pocket picks that he allows, Panthera, their sieges on towers with the 2 Hunters last so much less they don't need as much time as other teams need to knock down a tower.
And I think the difference is in this set that we'll see. It may be a slow-paced start to this game for the simple reason Paradigm, when they believe their opponents are a worthy opposition, a strong opposition, they will give them a lot of respect and play a tactical game in the early stages. We've seen it previously from these boys against the side of Fnatic.
But where's the line between tactical and timid?
That's based off your composition more than anything else, and what you expect out of the enemy to do with theirs too. In the early stages, Panthera will be very happy to sit back. Look at their lanes. I mean, it's 2 Hunters, it's an Kuang, and it's a tier. You farm them up to mid to late game, you're happy days.
Paradigm feels the same way though. Funball, Lawbster, on Ho-Yi and the Vulcan. Maybe not there, maybe not quite happy days, but at least a little bit of Frazier.
That's true, that's true. I mean, I think we'll see Paradigm probably be the main aggressors so far, and expect Paradigm to probably Panthera to counteract that, especially with the Geb and the Kuang. Kuang executes a target that gets low, Geb shields a target that's getting low.
Look at Trixtank, he wants this speed buff. 2-on-1, but a good belly flop. It's all about the timing here. Panthera and Paradigm, they're playing chicken.
This is actually Paradigm just abusing the fact their comp's a little bit better in the early stages here, and there's the aggression.
And the surprise 3-on-2, all of a sudden the numbers advantage, and Chiron through the wall, adapting is gonna fall. Xaliea comes on top of that despite Yammyn with the ultimate. QvoFred gets another one, that's 2 for Paradigm. Fearless power cleave Yammyn. That's the first kill for Panthera.
And that was all the flop though, was even better. Now Kuvo is gonna try and go in, but the kickback from Chiron keeps him out of the danger zone a little bit. Shouts to Lawbster with that ultimate over the wall though. If that didn't actually catch on to Raffa would have probably got out there.
I like the situation right there. Pretty much everybody from the 2 teams on the right side of the map go ahead and dive in, and both mid laners toss their ults over the wall. Yep. You know, Yammyn had excellent shots, but there was just too many Paradigm members surrounding Adapt.
Well, Yammyn had the positional advantage over Lawbster there because of the angle from the right-hand side into his own jungle. If you saw Lawbster try and rotate to that fight other than fire his ult over the wall, Yammyn would have got a lot of free poke off, potentially killed him. Yep. So you saw Lawbster have to sit back. The moment Lawbster comes round, however, is when he gets turned on by Dimi, and Yammyn picks up the kill.
Important mark as well. Yammyn gets 1 kill, Panthera gets a single kill, but that's what puts the transcendence in the hand of Yammyn. That's all he's really after. Get that transcendence and able to make these plays.
Now these fire elementals are going to go down here, but Paradigm on that engage at the speed buff was very wise from them. I mean, Fenrir, Ravana on that side of the map, you're in a good position to go aggressive. The early stages for those 2 definitely better overall than a Chiron and Kuang. Factor in the mid laners is a Hunter and a Mage. You're going to rely a little bit more on the Mage, even though abilities are a little bit harder to connect.
A little bit. A little bit. Lawbster on the Vulcan, I'm sure, would have some words to say about that.
I mean, overall, he's a bit more of a difficult character than Chiron in terms of confirming the damage from abilities, but he's a pro player.
I mean, Chiron has a literal auto-aim ability and masterful shot. But Lawbster's going to tell you he's going to hit everything 100% of the time.
Well, Xalia's just farming out at the moment on the right-hand side against Dimi, and Dimi will just weather the storm here for the most part. They're both working on Breastplate of Valor, which is pretty much standard, and more important for Xaliea against two hunters.
And exactly, and it's a very important thing that Xaliea, we didn't even mention, Xaliea is the owner of First Blood, and having that ROM just a little bit of a lead, you can see very important part.
This commitment for iRaffer is going to punish him so much there, and it wasn't, when I say punish him, he wasn't out of position. The rotation was just good from QvoFred, but as soon as you saw Funballer jump to the air there, you knew there was death.
And that's the lack of mobility on Geb. But I've thought he's got rollout.
Yeah, but
I mean, rollout takes forever to start. There's no quick jump move, and that's the problem for Geb.
You can charge
see that
it
a
up,
lot.
but when you charge it low, you can still get leapt on. But still, they're going aggressive on emilitoo, who's still out of position.
Running into just another member of Paradigm. QvoFred comes out from the mid lane and takes out emilitoo. Another one for the jungler. 2-0 and 2. That's all of the kills on Paradigm.
Surprised they're not looking at a Gold Fury here. I guess they don't know where Yammyn and Adapting are at the moment, but Gold Fury could have been an option on the table for them. I guess with Trixtank's ult being down, they were a little bit worried about that, but Lawbster's on the way back from base there. He would have had his Vulcan ult to confirm it if they needed.
Just no vision. You can see the Epsilon ult, that's Panthera, the Epsilon ward, that's Panthera's. Forced to use the ultimate away. There's a chase out of tier, but Dimi, I think, was a little further away than he thought he was.
Dimi feeling himself a little bit then, but what he could have done is tank the tower a little bit more, and that's what you saw Adapting do, take the tower shots, because Adapting could have potentially gone and found the kill.
Sure.
A little bit risky in these early stages, though. Less than 7 minutes in, you're not that tanky. You can't take so many shots.
Yeah, Panthera trailing by about 2K right now. No reason to make those moves, and 2K at 7 minutes is a big deal.
But the speed buff this time around is a bigger deal. The wave is pushing in mid lane, and Yammyn's got a decision to make now. Defend speed or lose a wave in mid.
It's going to be all about the speed buff. They need to have Adapting push forward as far as this game is concerned. Here comes QvoFred looking for Dimi. Jumps on top, gets the stun. There's the ultimate as well, bringing him way up the lane. Like you said, Dimi's got no ultimate. Slows a bound and a frostbite.
Now, you didn't see this on screen, but in the jungle there was both Bacchus and Lawbster zoning away reinforcements coming out from Panthera. They knew that was the gank potential with the Lawbringer being down there. They also knew when you saw QvoFred in that ult, it looked awful because he pushed away from Ravana.
Right.
But Dimi had no mana to disengage.
That's the deal. So sometimes with the Fenrir ult, your job is to stand still and allow everybody just to plow damage into the opponent that you're holding. But in that scenario, QvoFred was bringing Dimi as far up the lane as possible because all Dimi had was a fearless if he waits out the mana. There's no Lawbringer, and there's certainly no other tools Tyr has to get out of jail. So it's all about creating that situation. Robin's going to slow the character down. Can you make it to your tower? Can you make it to your tower? Absolutely not.
And look at this state of the game now. Paradigm, if you're a Paradigm fanboy at home, you are in a happy position against Panthera here. This is a good, and I actually want to clear this up, it is a substantial lead. 2,000 gold at 8 minutes with
That's
no
huge.
Gold Fury going down. This is a fantastic start for Paradigm's comp.
They had this a minute and a half ago. They had this before 7 minutes on the board. This is Paradigm honestly just running the game from minute one. Everything that Paradigm has tried to do, they have done successfully, and it's a lot of it has stemmed back from this original speed buff gank.
Yeah, the original speed buff
when.
gank. Go all the way back to that, then it was pressure onto dual lane, back into speed buff pressure one more time, which resulted in a kill onto Dimi, if anything else there. But here's a Gold Fury start.
It's going to be started up. All the ultimates coming out. Raffer's here. Doesn't exactly have a Wrath available, so all he can do is send a knock-up and watch. Gold Fury goes the way of Paradigm.
Adapting though.
Raffer's trying to chase.
And there's a Cataclysm and Apollo's in the sky too. They're looking to try and turn this around, Panthera, but they're not getting anything out of it now.
QvoFred picks up one, but he's surrounded, Hindu. There's the belly flop, intoxicate 3 players from Panthera, and they're still on top.
Don't know why QvoFred was hanging around there. He almost got himself in trouble and does because Yammyn now turns up. Meanwhile, Trixtank helping him out. Put it in position, Panthera, the boys are here.
Still in the back on the left side, but emilitoo's more concerned about the kill. Taking out Trixtank, here comes Xaliea, finds the root, backflip kick, and the nice shot from Vulcan saves his life.
And because of this, Panthera now, they lose the Gold Fury, they get 2 kills, and now they get a tier 1 tower to trade out and potentially make that a little bit more even in terms of the gold there. Biggest thing I can see from that, Adapting goes to the back. Kuvo carried on the engagement. Kuvo hung around.
Yep.
Should have been out. I agree with Trixtank going in to save his boy, but even he should have dipped as well.
Yeah, he got surrounded, too many players, too many situations, and Panthera, you know, one of the best things about always having a lead in the majority of your games is knowing what it's like to be up that much and figuring out where the mistakes mistakes will come from. It's so often the mistakes of you just spent too much time
And the
there.
funny thing is, when you mention mistakes, you're going against the world champions here. Panthera will punish you for a mistake heavily. Lawbster himself has said you have to expect Panthera to land every single ability in an engagement. If they don't, that's more shocking than them actually landing them. So you've got to be very careful about the small mistakes you make because you give them windows back in.
And the mistakes that, you know, the mistakes aren't always mechanical. The mistakes are tactical, right? AJ actually coined a term, tactical versus technical. And it's really big picture versus small picture, macro versus micro. And Paradigm right there, they don't make any technical problems. Everybody hit their abilities. It was the big picture.
But the big issue there is you saw the lead that Paradigm had. It's still the same lead now, even though the Gold Fury's gone down. They didn't capitalize well enough on that play. And by doing that, Panthera are like, okay, guys, listen, we had a rough start to the game. The lead is still the same after the Gold Fury going down, but we actually have map pressure overall with the tier 1 tower being down.
Exactly. There's a lot, so it's 500 gold, but there's a lot of this intangible that comes by taking out that mid tower so early. There's just a lot of wealth of range of movement for the enemy, for Panthera now, that they don't have to worry about Paradigm falling back to a tier 1 mid tower, whether they're running from Gold Fury or otherwise.
I like the invade from Xaliea there. He's not going to pull it off though. But the main thing about the tier 1 tower being down is Paradigm's been putting pressure on the speed buff. They can no longer do that because they've got nowhere to fall back to in the mid lane here.
Exactly.
If there is a fight there and the team tries to exit through mid lane, Kuang, if you manage to get a kill, he's got that dragon that can chase him all the way down to a tier 2. It's a very long distance to go.
Exactly. That's what I was getting at. So that the lack of that tower is so problematic for Paradigm. We'll see how they, if at all, adjust their strategy.
And it's rough to get it in before the 15-minute mark. Having a tier 1 tower down is always an issue, whatever lane you're in, because you're under a little bit more pressure, a little bit more freedom for your opponents then to abuse the situation, whether it's solo or duo as well.
Not really, yeah. Just a little bit spread out here. 12 minutes, team's looking for more of a reignition than anything else. Really, it's just going to be one of these big belly flops if Trixtank can find it. iRaffer looking for the same.
This is all Paradigm early game, but I'm not worried if you're a Panthera fan either. Like, their comp is mid. Mid onwards is where their strengths are. And when you look at the two teams, I just want to point this out. QvoFred, most kills on his team, highest GPM on his team. Well, guess what? Adapting, most kills on his team, highest GPM, which supports Trixtank, most deaths, most assists, most wards. Guess who it is on the side of Panthera? It's iRaffer with exactly the same stats. Most deaths, most assists, most wards.
So these teams are just, they're mirroring each other pretty much. Panthera seems to be a step ahead most of the time, but Paradigm have crafted and perfected. Well, they've done a very good job at refining their own brand of Smite. And now they're learning a little bit from the guys on top, which is pretty much just Panthera.
Well, Paradigm going a little aggressive in the jungle down the rotation, looking for someone, and it might actually be onto Yammyn, but he's a speedy moose. He can get away. Can mooses really move that fast?
I imagine so. And Panthera have the tier 1 tower. That's the big deal. That play right there can happen in Paradigm's favor because there's no tier 1 tower to fall back on. These are the small miniature plays that we need to bring attention to without that tier 1 tower there.
Well, the siege on mid lane from Paradigm there actually relieved a little bit of pressure on Dimi, who just pushed a wave into tower. So Xaliea lost a little bit of farm on that rotation, looking for a pick that wasn't available for them. But now they're looking at the speed buff again here, Paradigm.
A lot of damage, and speed buff going to get taken out before Trixtank even shows up. So Adapting gets his orange.
But because of the pressure coming out from Paradigm on the speed buff over and over again, they get some more free poke off the tier 1 tower to try and trade these out.
Half HP on the tower, still a lot of damage being dealt out by QvoFred, the Fenrir player. Panthera, on the other hand, Dimi in the solo lane has been doing well, but still finds himself falling behind Dimi. You can see almost 1,000 gold lead for the Ravana.
But that's fine. I mean, Dimi at the end of the day is playing tier. The longer this game goes on, the more impactful it'll have with cooldown reduction, the heals to come into play. Ravana, technically, as the game comes on, all he's really going to be is a small CC bot, an annoyance, a peck, a gnat at the back of the team, just annoying them. Meanwhile, tier, completely different story. Could wipe your team.
I mean, more like a fly than a gnat.
Nah.
More like a fly than a gnat.
Gnats can hurt just as much as flies, okay?
But have you ever seen the movie The Fly, the classic?
I'm actually looking at Adapting anyway. Let's move on from the classic fly one.
My point is that Xaliea on this Ravana, he might be a minor annoyance, but Ravana has that potential. In the movie The Fly, he becomes a life-size, man-sized fly.
I've seen the movie.
And my point is, Xaliea will be a life-size, man-size annoyance later on, especially when it comes to these pushes and these sieges.
Well, Adapting at the moment, I was going to bring him up because he's nearly got this Polynomicon finish. You can see his build is coming along. Went for the helm for a little bit of physical protection here early on to deal with Fenrir and the Hoyi as the game goes on. But that power spike has just been reached with the Polynomicon coming online. Expect Panthera to start turning up the heat a little bit more now on Paradigm.
Hey, you know, a couple of splits ago, we used to say Panthera, that 15-minute team.
That's true. And that's where the power spikes generally come through. It's the two to three items online for the team. Wingblade just got finished at the same time as an Assy and a Polynomicon. And also to add to that, Rafford just took a Vanguard. That shows for me that he's not looking at anything other than this next fight.
Yeah, this is a push for Panthera at the very least. Gold Fury going to be warded up. Vision control going the way of Panthera.
It's all about burning relics before the Gold Fury is even attempted. Minimum is relics, but if you can get anything else, snares and something.
There's going to be a knock-up after the stun. Following up a little bit late is Panthera.
That lane ward in the back.
Paradigm looking to turn it around. There's Lawbster in trouble. And QvoFred going to save his mid laner.
Qvo made such a big play with that. Opposed in the sky, though, looking for Lawbster, and he'll find it. Now he can look at QvoFred too. Forced the Sanctuary, but the Mez on the mark. The knockup was good too, and Rafa will clean that one.
QvoFred unfortunately going to fall down. Paradigm have 3 players to Panthera's 5, and that, you talked about getting rid of relics.
Yeah.
Just get rid of the players.
Get rid of the players if you can. I mean, they do have Trixtank here, who has ultimate still, and Funballer too, so Panthera still have to be respectful.
But adapting can keep them at bay. Good knockup coming out from Raffer. Gold Fury 25%. The team is split. Down goes the Suns. Gold Fury going the direction.
Paradigm.
Still not down. It's all Paradigm. The steal is strong. Trixtank chased out to the right. Funball gets the turnaround kill on a Raffer. And this one, Yammyn barely alive.
Adapting is chasing down Trixtank on one side as Dimi is trying to keep 2 at bay. Adapting not going to be able to find Trixtank. But
out.
guess what? Dimi may still be in trouble here, having the gap closed by Xaliea, but Yammyn shows up and Adapting from behind. He's looking at both of them.
Funball jumps down in place.
What a
Sanctuary
game.
saves the life for the moment. Funball chasing down 2, Adapting in the back, surrounded. Can he find the kills? Couple of basics is all he needs, but Yammyn's got him too. One more on top. Panthera dropped the Gold Fury, but they drop Paradigm just as well.
Well, Paradigm getting the Gold Fury was the biggest issue there for Panthera because they played that so well. The engagement from Rafa looked very early for me, nobody in position.
Yeah.
But as I said that in my head, and I was like, he ulted? At the back, Dimi was teleporting in. Guess where he was teleporting to? That ward right where the tower should have been in mid lane. Gets around the back. Qvo does a very good job of disengaging, but the global ultimate from good old emilitoo there comes into play, swings it back. Then move on to the Gold Fury fight.
Yep.
The peel was great from Panthera, but they didn't have the burst to bring him down because so many people were focused on the Gold Fury.
And Panthera played the split game. They tried to keep 2 players still on the Gold Fury with 3 players trying to zone, but Paradigm just wouldn't let themselves be zoned. Adapting tried to zone with damage, and he didn't have as much as he thought he did.
And when you see that deicide that ended up happening, oh, they're really going to go for the Fire Giant early? This
No.
is very cheeky.
I mean, this is what Panthera have made a living off of.
I mean,
Oh,
is
but
Dimi
the
going to
Robin-
recognize it? Xaliea may have telegraphed this, I'm not so
Yeah.
sure. And I think because Xaliea is going there, maybe they've done this in scrims as well. Dimi's going to see it, and unfortunately, they're not going to do it.
Xaliea showed Panthera, more importantly, Dimi, the hand. Everybody knows now. There's the ultimate onto Dimi, firing over the top of Vulcan. Not going to find much of anybody. And Paradigm, their sneaky fire giant, not so
Oh,
sneaky.
but this could be a better
Here's
fight
Raffer.
now. And there's Xaliea in a bit of trouble there. Overhead kick down, but Yammyn's not looking that way. He's actually trying to zone out Lawbster as Adapting was going in. Lobbing it for Dimi, looking for the Fearless if he can find it.
So following up, that's going to be that.
That's it.
That's going to be that.
I think that's generally this is how the teams go. They went for Lawbster, they didn't find Lawbster, but the thing is now is that with Lawbster going back to base, they can steal the jungle away. And look what Yammyn just did. He took the blue.
Yeah, he took the blue buff a little bit here and there, but really this is what it's about. Hindu still looking for the kills. Panthera, it was just a reprieve. They just wanted to wait a little bit. Now they'll lean back. I don't think Fire Giant's on the menu anytime soon.
No, not right now. I mean, Paradigm went for a cheeky little play there. I like the idea from
I
it
love
too.
the
Maybe
idea.
catch him off guard a little bit and it won't happen. Although they pulled it again then for a second. It looks like...
Nah, they just pulled it to get rid of the vision.
Oh, Geb's going to blink over the wall. Rafa forced to back away there. The blink in that direction better because he's got 2 members in support.
Exactly. Just a little bit of here and there. Paradigm have the...
A Fire Giant dance at 20 minutes is not something I was expecting at this stage of the game, but look at this, Rafa's in trouble.
And he'll be fine. It's really about everybody else. Yammyn on the south side. QvoFred taking him out. 2-on-1. Qvo in trouble. Xaliea taking out Raffer and Adapting. He's all by himself. There's nowhere for Adapting to find.
3 from Dimi. Fearless off the mark, though. And now 4 members of Paradigm grouped together against the 3 remaining of Panthera. This fight is crazy.
Adapting hasn't done anything this team fight. Not to his own problem. Paradigm have just stayed away from him. That's their whole strategy. Stay away from adapting.
Well, on top of that, they've got to stay away from him again because soon they won't have to worry about him because Meditate is about to come back up again. Meanwhile, Dimi trying to defend the tier 1 tower. Good beads coming out there from Funballer.
Dimi still taking some damage from Funballer's basic attacks. Trixtank a little bit off the mark with his ultimate.
But the All-Collapse and adapting now, who tries to come in the back and he gets cleaned up for free.
So everybody was staying away from adapting until everybody comes on top of adapting and he falls down. 9 kills in total, and this lead has been back and forth, back and forth.
It is.
Loving it, but right now the gold, 2K in the direction of Paradigm, and it's been that way the majority of the game.
I mean, you said lead, and really what you really meant to say there was control of the game.
Exactly.
Overall, not the gold in this situation. The gold has always been there for Paradigm. That's down to that Gold Fury. But control of the game has kind of seesawed over and over again.
And I mean, with a team like Paradigm, a 2K gold lead, I don't want to call it a tie game, but Panthera, excuse me. With a team like Panthera that know how to really get rid of, well, Dimi's making some mistakes of his own.
No, he's going to get away with it, or maybe not, because Kuvo's now here. Dimi doesn't see him coming over here, and he's actually going to get picked up by the Ragnarok and dragged away. But on the left-hand side, as per usual, there will always be an answer from Panthera.
It's the split push coming out of the Apollo. As classic as the game itself.
I mean, he gets a tier 1 for free there because of that. It's great.
And this is what emilitoo does. This is what Apollo does. That's why the double hunter pick winds up being so fantastic for Panthera, because they're able to find these small opportunities to just split push, take a tower, and walk away.
And Adapting will walk away with speed buff there at the same time as the Geb shield comes out from iRaffer after the root too. So everyone back to the old, and Lawbster on defense shooting here on the left-hand side. It's interesting to see they sent Lawbster over here. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's to do with the global ultimate, being able to reach the fight a little bit quicker than Funballers might.
I mean, there's no teleport.
I guess it was just he had to go back to base. You know, you never know.
Vulcan does have a limit on his ult, right? He can't shoot the fire giant.
This collapse is interesting because there's actually 3 members of Paradigm around here. And
Got the
Panthera
blink.
in a bit of trouble. Flop does connect, but Adapting purified it perfectly.
After taking out the blink from adapting, that's why we see the jump in coming out from Paradigm. They know that item is off and they want to go ahead, but they strip both relics. Panthera's jungler has no relics available. Paradigm certainly want to look to adapting one more time.
They'd love to have Lawbster, though, over on this right-hand side for those meatballs to cause a bit of confusion, but emilitoo is keeping him pinned back here on the left-hand side. You also see Xaliea cannot go back to base, can't teleport over there right now. It's on CD for the time being, so it'd have to be a trade-up, and the moment emilitoo sees a trade-up, all the boys on the right-hand side see it. We'll see an engage from Panthera, I can guarantee it.
Paradigm going to start at the fire giant. Adapting's not here. emilitoo's not here. Paradigm have 4 here versus Panthera's 3, and it's all about the fight.
What a good blink from iRaffer there. About to get flopped on. Meanwhile, they're looking at Lawbster, and Lawbster's in a bit of trouble here, especially with Adapting coming in. The turret will help, and the tier 2 tower will help too, but Lawbster just got shredded.
Yeah, that giant hit, and all Adapting has to do is throw the dragons out. Different story on the right-hand side. Paradigm have this one, at least in numbers, but they don't come out on top.
I mean, they want Yammyn. That's all they're after, and that's what Qvo's diving in now with Trixtank tanking, but Yammyn will bravely run away to victory.
Look at Dimi.
He's on the loose.
Saves the life of his mid laner with the fearless, but Xaliea takes Yammyn out anyway. Still, Dimi looking for more, but finds a little bit.
The map. Look at the map. The Phoenix is now under threat for Panthera. Panthera could look to take this down. It's forcing Kuvo back. Yes, you're winning the fight on the right-hand side, but what are you getting out of it?
Losing a tier, a Phoenix, but a hot shot from QvoFred. Takes out one, dodging and weaving, trying to find the others, still can't find it. Waiting for that jump. 2 seconds, 1 second. Fenrir's ready to go. Wants to jump on, but's got to be careful. More about the Phoenix. Kuvo, does he have the range?
He needed the ability to come back up. That's what he was after. But emilitoo wants to fight. Great Sanctuary from QvoFred. Good mess too. The So Beautiful is down now, and the minion wave spawns at the correct time.
Still more time on the jump. QvoFred waiting.
What happened right inside though? This is great. This is great from Paradigm. They somehow managed to get that Phoenix on the right because people were still over on the left. emilitoo was stopped back by Kuvo, so he couldn't get back to defend that Phoenix.
Less about the kill, more about just delaying the back, making sure that emilitoo could not show up.
We said in the early stages of the game, Tom, as well, I said about the tactical game Paradigm will try to play, maybe keep it slow, especially when they respect their opposition. Well, look at the tactical game this time round. It was do Fire Giant, force a fight, defend the left-hand side, manage to get away with not losing the Phoenix too, and then tactically take the right one at the same time.
emilitoo didn't get the Phoenix.
No, he didn't. Did you not realize that?
It's half HP.
That's the whole reason that this is such a good play from Paradigm, and their tacticalness has come out in their favor for now.
Well done. 5K, 4.5K in the lead as Paradigm off of very, very strong, high brow strategy. And that's really what you need to do. I mean, once you're here against Panthera and Paradigm, you don't win off of being the better Smite player, because everybody winds up being the better Smite player. You've got to find the tactics.
You've got to find the mistakes that are made. That's the big one here. Mid lane, Funballer under a lot of pressure. That's so beautiful on the mark from emilitoo. Funballer forced out, and Qvo going to take him away, but Dimi's going.
Over the wall, looking for the hit, won't find it. Knockup is strong. Adapting takes down Funball. Follow-up kill won't even be there yet. Ultimate out of Vulcan, answered back by emilitoo on the backside. Lawbster gets taken down by emilitoo, while QvoFred in the mid gets taken by the Dragon.
That time with the adapting ult, now he's back in the fight too. Raff is duking out, trying to stay alive, but Xaliea denies that from happening too long. So beautiful on the bar, but Trixtank flops in on 2, looking to turn this around. It's Xaliea versus the world.
Chin size, chin size, chin size, chin size. emilitoo just chewing through that tanky Ravana.
The turnaround.
All gone.
And that's the fire giant for Panthera now. They're going to get control of the game once more. This is going back and forth, and maybe off this will be the first time they have been clearly in the lead for the whole game.
14 kills for Panthera, 14 kills for Paradigm. Just up, down, left, right. BA, start, select. You don't need a code for this one. Panthera have been trying to find it. Paradigm have been trying to find it. This one is as close as they come.
And everyone's starting to accroach on level 20 now. The funny thing about accroach on level 20, I'm going to say it, A, it's not a word, but B, it's 25 minutes into the game. Right?
Encroach sounds like a word.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was after, but it doesn't matter. I'm only English. But still, 20. How many level 20s are in this game? Not that many. That's really surprising for a 25-minute game between two of the best teams in Europe.
Because everybody's pushing each other down. Nobody has gotten a chance to really breathe for a moment. This 26 minutes, and we saw the 13-minute slowdown. Other than that, which if you remember, Panthera made the play at 15 minutes. Other than that, this game has been high octane the entire damn time.
Now that goal for you is the first one we've seen out of Panthera so far this game, but it was very important the way that happened. emilitoo doing that so early in the Fire Giant buff now allows the team not to have to focus on left-hand side where there's no towers left remaining for them to take. Instead, they can look for the tier 2 in mid and the tier 2 and tier 1 in the right-hand lane.
I mean, Panthera can look for whatever the hell they want, Hindu man. It's an even game, but Fire Giant around their waist.
Hang on a second. Fire minions. Take that into account because they've got a barrel down the line on the right-hand side here. They've still got a Phoenix to respawn.
What's Raffer doing?
He's looking. Raffer's not scared to blink either. Also remember that. We've seen him blink disengage, not engage, more often than we've seen him engage with it.
That's very true. Using it defensively, having that sort of sixth sense to understand where the opponent is and when they want to target him. I don't think Paradigm needed sixth sense to understand that Panthera, they're just coming down this right side.
I mean, they must know Trixtank's in the jungle here. They don't see him on the map. They only see 4, and there must be no Trixtanks around the corner. But Raffer is going to lead his troops in for the most part. His game performance has not been too bad today. He's done a lot, though.
If Raffer gets jumped on, and Panthera are able to still turn the fight, that's fine. Raffer doesn't mind dying for the overall cause. I mean, he doesn't have a Fire Giant buff.
But we mentioned this a lot of the times. Where's he engaged? Well, it's generally Blink, Geb, or Dimi. Those two. I mean, Dimi could look for it with the Blink Fearless, and that's probably what may have to happen unless Geb's feeling himself.
Yeah, there's not a lot of options. Trixtank, fully smashed, ready to go.
Look at Paradigm. They sit back in the tower range. They use the fire minions as a body block as well. And every second that passes is another second this Fire Giant is not going to chip away at this and give him a bigger lead.
Yeah, Paradigm playing the waiting game. All you have to do is stay and hang out.
That was a nice ricochet on Funballer there, overall. Very difficult to judge the triple shot. I mean, you can judge the second one if you're lucky, but the third one, not a chance in the world.
As long as nothing is happening, Paradigm is winning this non-engagement.
Agreed.
But Panthera understand that. There's the blink forward. 3 players caught in it. Here's the follow-up from Dimi. Look at the top side. Adapting coming around the back. Dimi slows players down. QvoFred does what he can. Nobody has died just yet. Everybody paying attention. Adapting takes out Funball, and there's the follow into the jungle.
But they're all on Adapting now, looking for the kill, and Adapting tried to trade out with Xaliea. Not going to happen. Meanwhile, Trix flops onto Yammyn. The Hunter is in so deep here. He needs help from Dimi and the shields from Raffer.
Sanctuary saves Yammyn for a second, but just that amount. Trixtank finishes off 16-16, even game. emilitoo, on the other hand, not so even. Target Phoenix the whole time.
It's not going to be enough to actually bring Dimi down there, and emilitoo cannot hang around on his own to bring down the Phoenix. So far, Paradigm, they get a tier 1, tier 2 tower and a Gold Fury from that Fire Giant, and only 2 members have it left.
Panthera, they got maybe not what they came for, but they got something. As long as you are able to successfully get that tier 2 tower, I think you're able to call that a success.
But at the same time, if I'm a Paradigm fan here, or I'm a Paradigm player here, I'll look at that and be like, well, we got engaged on. We lost a couple of members of our team for that. Not the whole team, just to be clear as well. And we lost a Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower. That's not that bad considering.
No.
Although they seized the front line very, very well. Adapting swing around the back was very key to that engagement. Finding a Funballer right very early on in that.
You know, I complain about it all the time, so I would be remiss if I did not celebrate it when it's finally answered. The double hunter, plus adapting, he's not a basic attack god in Kuang, but anyway, the double hunter finally answered with a Witchblade. Thank you, Xaliea.
It's just smart play. You're going to be in amongst them for as often as possible. As a melee god, you're going to be hitting them over and over again. Trixtank could look for that route too. I mean, he's basically gone for full physical protection here.
Sure.
It seems mostly he's not worried about being focused by adapting here, which is surprising.
Yeah, Xaliea is going to be the one in the mix, just trying to create everything. And when it comes down to it, I mean, that Phoenix, you could say the Phoenix was saved by a Ravana with a Witchblade.
The only thing I see with Ravana here is maybe going for this chins that I see him as the last item.
Yep.
He could have potentially looked at maybe a Mantle of Discord, give himself that melee stunning range because he's going to be with them as well.
But that's not Xalia's flavor.
No, it's not, and I agree with that. I understand that it's not his flavor, but if that comes back at the end of the game, it could haunt him.
We'll see. Will it haunt him, or will he be the haunter?
It's extra damage, but at the same time, I mean, they're all squishy targets he's got to deal with for the most part. It's only tier.
That's true.
And a gap that he's really got to get through.
Which I actually mentioned Shinsai earlier on emilitoo. I love the choice because Qvo's a little bit tanky. Xalia's obviously tanky. Trixtank is the tank for the squad. The Shinsai on emilitoo is working out fantastic. I was so excited to just watch him chew through Ravana. You don't chew through Ravens like that.
But we're almost at critical mass already in this game because look at the builds. We're nearly at 6 items completed with all starters sold. And when that happens is where crits become online. The hunters are huge and the front line, well, it's a lot squishier than you expect.
No crits online for emilitoo. He's all pure penetration and the chin side. There's a jump up from Funballer. He's being chased out. He's got a little bit of crit to his name.
Dimi does a very good job of focusing on one single target every fight. 2 fights in a row now, I've seen him look at Funballer and went, you're mine.
Yep.
I am having you unless you disappear. He's forced him to jump away again. Although it did cost him his ultimate, it's not so bad.
Panthera starting up the Fire Giant, just daring Paradigm to come in and fight. They're up 3,000 gold, Panthera is, but it's not enough to deter Paradigm. QvoFred gets caught up but immune to the damage, can't immune at all, and down he goes. Yammyn finds the shot. Yammyn barreling the shots down the middle as well, dealing a ton of damage to Paradigm.
Now, emilitoo's in the sky here, but he's going to have to come down at some point, and he does, but he gets bursted so heavily, forced the Sanctuary away. Xaliea will clean him up, but round the back he's adapting. He gets 1. He looks like he gets 2 as well, looking for the 3rd.
And stuck for the moment, still gonna follow up. Xaliea can't punch his way out of that one. 3 for the adapting jungle. Kuang was a fantastic first pick for the guys on Panthera.
Got to keep an eye on where Adapting is at all times. We saw it earlier on where they're like, Adapting's coming, 5-man focus. But that was when he was coming in alone. This time round, his team was with him, and they couldn't keep track.
And that's the beauty. Last team fight, Adapting comes from the front. This team fight, he comes from the back. The team fight before that on the Tier 2 tower, he came from the side. You don't know where King Kenneth is coming from.
It's funny because emilitoo died in that engagement, but he actually ulted at the time to kill QvoFred. Qvo was still alive, running away in dog form, and he was a little worried he was going to get out, so he ulted prematurely, expecting to have to dunk it. Luckily, his boy Yammyn was there to save the day, but then he's like, well, I need to come down anyway. But Paradigm were waiting then. That's the only reason he died.
Very, very low HP, but the Phoenix suffers the same consequence. 0 HP on it, to be exact. Paradigm now find themselves down a Phoenix, and Panthera's has respawned.
Well, this is the second Fire Giant, that's the big key. I don't care about the Phoenix going down, because we had a Phoenix go down for Panthera on the right-hand side. Paradigm took that one out, and now with the second Fire Giant online, this is a lot longer of a buff in terms of how much room they've got to play, with a lot less objectives.
And it's a huge swing as well with respects to the gold. 20-17, our kills have been neck and neck, and the only reason you see a 5,000 gold differential between Panthera and Paradigm is because of the last Fire Giant team fight Phoenix exchange. These guys have been even for the entire half hour that we've been watching them play.
The best news is we get to see both these teams have compositions that they point to practice for picks and bans here and be executed very well. Paradigm's early game, fantastic with the Fenrir, with the Ravana, with the rotations from Trixtank and Bacchus, but the longer this has gone on, the more and more these two hunters have started to make an impact. But not only the hunters, that mage in the jungle.
Right. I mean, the double hunter out Kuang combination. This is as Panthera as the purple cat that is their logo. I mean, this is the combination that we've seen forever, and it's working out very, very well. Like you said, Paradigm had the lead early on, but come late game, Lawbster's there.
Well,
But there's 2 hunters on Panthera.
There's only Phoenixes this time around, and it's very difficult for Adaption to get into the back, which he's been doing at these tier 2 towers. So this time around, when Paradigm look to defend, they've got a bit of a better defense strategy available to them. A lot of CC, a lot of control with double knockups from the Bacchus and the Vulcan as well. Big AoE damage circles as well, take that into account. It's going to be very difficult for Panthera to break the Phoenixes, but the Fire Giant can help them.
That's the big deal, is the Fire Giant, the double hunter. Panthera have a lot of tools to really make this left-hand push to be very, very strong. You can see Dimi pushing up, making sure Paradigm have split up, and Dimi want to force to split up even more so. Lawbster's not even here, and iRaffer certainly is. Blinking in, catches 2, but QvoFred off of the knockup, finds emilitoo. There's a shot from Lawbster, it's nowhere on time.
Well, he got a Sanctuary after emilitoo, but iRaffer's low. But talking about getting low right now, Lawbster under pressure versus Dimi. The boys of Paradigm's collapsed, but guess who's in the sky?
emilitoo looking for a target, can't find one, and then it is. Lawbster falls down 1 for 1. Adapting's dead
Rapper's
as
in
well.
trouble,
That's
though.
a big death on Panthera.
Oh, he was in trouble for a second, but he's going to roll away. Blocked out by QvoFred, but Dimi's around the corner. Qvo's going to respect that one. Talking about respect, Yammyn's trying to do that from Xaliea, who's trying to run him down now, and the Oboe paying dividends for him to get some extra poke off.
Xalia's looking for the
Trix.
double kill. 2 players low in the mid lane, but here comes emilitoo. He's got the chin size and he's got the audacity, but QvoFred has the audacity to follow him up, taking him out. iRaffer answers, 22 in total, and Xaliea answers back, 21 for Paradigm. Every
Paradigm
single
hold.
kill we see is answered back.
Paradigm hold their base, they hold their Phoenixes. The right one, though, is about to respawn, but Paradigm are barreling down mid lane for a tier 2 or a Phoenix here. I want to see someone go back and clear this out. Maybe, I'm not sure how long's left on that Phoenix on the right hand side. Oh, there you go, Xaliea is back there just in time. I was a bit worried that they may have traded a tier 2 for the Phoenix on the right, which could have been a misplay.
There's been so much, every single kill is answered back. That's a big deal, because when you look at the players in this game, Adapting is known for getting multi-kills. I mean, QvoFred known for it. These guys, Funball specifically, known for getting these multi-kills, and Panthera and Paradigm are making a conscious effort to make sure that anybody who's on the aggressive gets taken down.
Well, look at what Qvo did at the end of that fight there. He dived in, sacrificed his life, knowing he would get a kill, but trade it out overall.
Yep.
At this stage of the game, to have knowledge like that, when to trade and when not to, is so difficult, and to make the correct decision, because one play like that and you make a mistake in it, game's over.
And the crazy part about that is, Graham, is that it's instinctual. Qvo makes that play. He makes the decision to jump into mid lane in 0.4 of a second, and I'm being generous. That is an instantaneous thought process that has to go, I'm jumping in here, get the kill, and I'll trade my life, but it's okay.
I will not shout who's MVP for this game. I do not want to be the person that has to decide that one, that's for
Nope.
sure. Because everybody's really stepping up. There's nobody that can say he's having a bad game at all. Even when you look at the stat lines, like there's 1-4 and 1-6 on Vulcan, but Lawbster's doing what Lawbster does. He feeds to victory. He's the scapegoat for the team.
Oftentimes, the sacrificial lamb, Lawbster used to it, but also dealing a ton of damage. Funball getting damage dealt to him, however. Dimi gonna flop over the top, land on 2, and get the slow. Right on through the stuns, Dimi takes damage, and Geb saves the life.
But Funballer has survived for so long, Adapting did clean it up on the back. emilitoo in the sky, but Lawbster picked up a kill onto Yammyn, which is a big one. emilitoo, however, could run down 3.
Here comes Adapting, he's half HP, but he's ready to go. Everybody on Paradigm very, very low. Adapting coming up, can't find which direction he wants to go, so he'll play it safe, and everybody's looking at the fire.
And this is going to be a free fire gen again from the side of Paradigm. They've got to defend the Phoenix more. They were pushed out of base there, limping back to base of the boys of Paradigm. Nothing to really secure this one. No Wrath of the Gods, with Lawbster ults down, and the side of Intoxicate being down as well for Trixtank. There's just no way they can do it.
Yeah, I mean, emilitoo using
ML.
every single tool, even the knockup,
Even
giving
the relic.
himself the pass.
He just sanctuaried at the end there. Oh, ML. ML will look back at that one and they'll be like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Well, Fire Giant again for another time, and this should be a good game and a good chance again to besiege this left-hand Phoenix.
Again, because we've seen it so
Yeah.
many damn times. Paradigm has just had a fantastic defensive set. Pretty much whenever they want, Paradigm has been able to say, no, you're not going to get this objective.
Well, this is just a bonus to the composition the Paradigm drafted, is the fact that defensively, they're very good at holding on to Phoenixes and being able to sit there and weather the storm of engages, especially when people can't get to your backlines. Panthera,
Right.
they look for the mid game, they look for the late game in composition in terms of tower burst, but there's not a whole lot of engage on this team.
I mean, there really isn't. So they're looking for, I mean, it's all Raffer with the Blink Initiate, and Paradigm, they've already seen it. They've already gotten it. Dimi comes through with the secondary initiation, but...
This time round, though, it's about adjustments from both teams. Paradigm need to adjust by the small mistakes of losing 1 or 2 members in these skirmishes in the jungle area. Panthera, they need to adjust on what their target selection is when they get to these Phoenixes to try and apply the pressure and pick it up.
I love the choice of what Emilitoo does, though. Right now we're talking about the tweaks that these teams need to make. Emilitoo should not change. He gets a couple of pot shots off and then just goes to the sky and executes whoever is low.
Well, here's the worst thing is that I'm trying to keep track of builds.
He's playing Thanatos.
I'm trying to keep track of all the builds that have gone on in this game, Tom, but things are changing in and out now, and it's very difficult with the amount of action we've had. But we do see 2 Odysseus bows on the side of Panthera. They've run this strategy before.
Yeah, we saw Yammyn pick it up earlier on. It's just about creating havoc. There's another blink from Raffer. Again, no real warning. But the problem is, Paradigm was surprised, so was Panthera.
Too early, but looking to go aggressive and burn relics was the big key there. The funny thing is Funballer did not have purification available in that engagement, and I don't think Paradigm would have taken that fight just because Funballer's relics were on cooldown. It's just a missed opportunity for Panthera. They're never going to know about.
No, yeah, there's no way for them to know that Funballer doesn't have his relic there. Now he does.
But guess who doesn't? Raffer. He's used his blink up this time round, and also looking at Emilitoo, his purification just came back up, so we may see Panthera sit back and just wait for the sanctuary of his to come back up as well.
Well, Paradigm has proven that their Paradigm's brand of defense is offense. They're looking for an initiation here, which is why you see Panthera in this little hovel in the jungle. Emilitoo's also going to go up to the mid side, trying to split Paradigm up just a little bit.
And he kind of has to do that because of the way Paradigm defended last time. There goes Dimi, though, with a blink fearless onto Funball. Funball did not panic, however, and now Dimi's looked at for a second as Raffer was giving him some cover.
Adapting, trying to find a way around the right side, looking towards Xaliea. There's the execute. Not going to be the execute, just a toss-up. QvoFred, on the other hand, jumping to the back. Lawbster and Funball both get a kill.
The meditate was so big for Paradigm, and now they're the ones on the offensive. The boys of Panthera have to run for their lives. Emilitoo, see you boys, I'm out. Raffer's going to roll away back to safety, but Paradigm hold again, and that time it was a weakened Phoenix.
Emilitoo using his ultimate defensively for what seems to be the first time of the game. Like I said, he's been using it like an execute for the majority, and now has to find the eject
button. They want
button.
Xaliea in mid, though, here, Panthera. They're trying to answer back with something, putting some pressure onto the solo laner, with Adapting being there in the Polynomicon, and even Raffer around here. I like the pick from them. Now they can maybe look at sieging, but look at the recalls.
I knew Emilitoo wasn't going to use the ultimate defensively. He doesn't have that phrase in his book. Not going to happen.
But that slowed down the push power out of Paradigm. They managed to force 2 members back from base. It's only a Fenrir and a Vulcan on defense, on offense duty, but Adapting's already back in base here to be able to slow them down. There's no minions with them. They can't backdoor this.
No, Emilitoo's kill right there saves a Phoenix.
Agreed.
It's interesting because, again, I mentioned that Paradigm's favorite brand of defense is offense by jumping forward. Emilitoo defends the base by ulting on the enemy's Phoenix.
Well, Panthera is very good at when they get behind or realize they're in a negative situation and trying to trade it out evenly.
Exactly.
Can we get a tower for tower? Yes or no? Can we get a Phoenix for a Phoenix?
Which is why we see the kills. Fourth time, fifth time, back and forth, back and forth. We haven't seen kills separated by more than one in almost a half hour, Hindu. And that's because, like you said, Panthera know that they can't allow free stuff. As soon as Paradigm pick up a kill, tower, gold fury, objective, what have you, Panthera have to answer back.
And we're in late game at the moment as well at 42 minutes into this one. And when I normally talk about late game, it's always about if you die, the respawn is so long, a team gets a positional advantage. But in this circumstance and how this game is being played between the two, it's also going to be based off where you get those kills. If you've got to run down the whole other end of the map to go and get the objectives to find an answer, it's a different story than getting killed in your own half of the map.
Which is why we see the players hanging out by this fire giant, going to spawn in a matter of seconds. Paradigm have 4 in the jungle. 5 is Lawbster, makes the rotation and joins up. Panthera, on the other hand, just 3. Emilitoo has his rotation ability coming from the ultimate. Adapting, on the other hand, does not have the luxury of a teleport.
Adapting's hanging around on this left-hand side here. You know what he's waiting for? Rotations, because Emilitoo is pushing the left-hand side here at the same time. So if somebody comes through the jungle trying to answer, Adapting's there for the quick assassin-like kill from that mage.
Paradigm don't know that Adapting is missing. If they thought, if Paradigm knew it was a 3-2 split instead of just a typical 4-1 emilitoo Apollo split, Paradigm take that fight.
But they're spotted on the left-hand side. Adaption's been spotted out, but the problem is that Panthera knew what was going on from
Beautiful
Paradigm.
play.
Paradigm spotted them, got spotted out themselves, and now they lose a fire giant again.
My, I'm so impressed with this play. The separation, dragging Paradigm to the left side of the map, forcing Paradigm to the left side of the map, gives Panthera the free fire giant. Just absolute head games coming out from your #1 team.
Now, it's actually funny as well, because the way they did that fire giant on the right-hand side, if you notice, it took them a very long time. They could have bursted it heavier, but they were worried about somebody coming around the back or stealing it away. And the moment emilitoo did that circle above the map there around the left-hand side, he saw all 5, and immediately Panthera just relaxed and went, oh, right, okay, kill it, because nobody's coming.
I am so incredibly impressed by the intelligence that comes out of Panthera's play right there. They split up 3-2, and like I said, like we said, they show everybody, hey, emilitoo's on that side. Adapting shows himself as well, which gives Paradigm the okay to make the rotation.
But after we've got the problem once again for Panthera, now they've got to siege up the Phoenixes, and the whole of Paradigm are ready. Yeah, they've got a fire giant, but 2 times with the fire giant, they failed to take a Phoenix down against this defense from Paradigm. They've got to try and siege it again. We've seen iRaffer try and engage. We've seen Dimi try and engage. It's not working out for him just yet. They've got to try and break the boys up.
I mean, late game, the fire giant, we've seen it time and time again. It's all about the sustain.
Really, what I want to see out of Panthera here is probably look for 3-way pushes. We want to see 1 guy in mid lane, 1 guy in left lane. Predominantly, ones that can take 1v1 fights.
Right.
Example, adapting. If you can get somebody 1v1, there's a high possibility that Mage gets a kill. And that's why I think we see him on the left-hand side right now.
Yeah, you can see adapting, looking for Xaliea. Last time, it dealt a lot of damage, but wasn't able to execute him.
Actually, you mentioned Xaliea. The reason it wasn't executable is because the meditate came out exactly the right time from Xaliea. He knew the execute was coming. Very difficult ability to actually confirm at the right time in terms of the meditate. If you do it too early, you still die. You do it too late, you do it too late, you do still die. Even though the meditate goes off. And that could happen sometimes.
Well, the minion wave coming up the left side, adapting will greet it. 3 players in Panthera will greet up the mid lane as well. Sort of the 3-pronged approach, but Paradigm able to answer with just a little bit of wave clear.
But look at who they sent to which lane is the important thing here. You've got a tank and the mage in the mid lane from Paradigm. Left-hand side, you put your big tanky dude in Xaliea to slow down the assassin.
Half HP in the mid and the right Phoenix, both of them being attacked pretty much in tandem. Right Phoenix goes down thanks to the Hunter presence. Dimi's able to shove him out, and no violence just yet.
Now what we'll see from Panthera is more than likely start to siege up as a group again. They've got some pressure on the right-hand side. They've got fire minions there as well after. Now those fire minions, they wait for them to start pouring through. They've got extra pressure there, can create a 4v5 because of it.
I love what we just saw. So the fire giant we've spoken about incredibly so. But that right Phoenix, again, the Phoenix goes down without a team fight. That's just positioning around the map and forcing Paradigm to go elsewhere.
But that's good respect to Paradigm as well for the fact that they forced Panthera to have to change the tactic after the third attempt, I should say, actually forcing them to make a split push option available. And this time round, Paradigm weren't ready for that. They didn't know how to deal with it, because it's very difficult to deal with that when it's 2 hunters.
Well, yeah, you spread out, and basically whichever Phoenix Paradigm attack, whatever Phoenix Paradigm defends, well, you put the people on the other Phoenix.
But another benefit for Paradigm there, though, it was a Phoenix that was already weakened. The difference is these ones in mid and the left-hand side are a little bit tougher to take down.
Which is why we see the right one go down. In the mid and the left, we'll see more of a concentrated effort. You can see the 4-1 split now. Everybody pushing out Lawbster. Dimi doing majority of that work. Double belly flop. Paradigm looking for it. Lawbster over the top, takes the damage, but doesn't get the kills.
Invested a lot into Rafi. It wasn't really the target, but the rest of the boys at Panthera get out. The Phoenix falls in every single lane.
And everybody distracted in the mid lane. Left side, Hunter does it all by himself. Emilitoo might be a little lonely, but he's certainly not poor.
Now they're going to go back into the jungle here, Panthera. This is just wise to do. You've done the hard work. You broke the base of Paradigm. Now we can wait up, clear up the jungle, take a little bit bonus gold and mana. Not really gold, not really experience here. Strip the buffs just from being an impact in the game.
Piece by piece by piece. Paradigm's base is being disassembled.
Look at Dubson's inventory. Ooh.
I'm not seeing it.
You are now.
Oh, the power pot. Okay.
You were looking at the right part of the inventory. The power pots, the double power pots, the 3K pot as well.
He's going to delete people.
For him. Everybody's going to, because everyone's starting to get those too. That's the big key here. The damage is about to go absolutely through the roof.
Yeah, I mean, adapting that execute that didn't happen on Xaliea, it'll happen this time.
You ready for an interesting start?
What's that?
Both these teams, right, have not won a game in the past year that's gone over 50 minutes.
Okay.
Panthera's longest game in the past year was against Hungry for More that went 50 minutes and they lost.
Right, yeah.
Paradigm, 53 minutes, and it was a loss to Torpedo in the spring split as well. Torpedo, yes, it was Torpedo.
You saw my
that
face there.
Yeah, Torpedo. Both these teams, if it goes over 53 guaranteed, one of these teams, they've both already lost.
Difference there? I think that's a different Paradigm team, honestly. This Paradigm team that we're seeing in opening day of Fall Split, this Paradigm team doesn't lose to Torpedo.
Not right now.
That's what I'm saying. This is a
one thing about
different
Paradigm
team.
you can always say is they do play up to their opposition.
Very true.
When they respect their opposition, they're a different beast. We've seen it at Dignitas in Super Regionals where they didn't respect their opposition and nearly paid with their lives. And right now, they're against Panthera, and Panthera looking to close this out. And respectfully from them, not trying to push him for 5 minutes, get the Fire Giant first.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Panthera have played a cool and calculated game one here. Paradigm, their base has been taken down. I was saying this before. Piece by piece, like Jenga, though. It's been very, very dangerous dismantling that Panthera has been doing here. Now, finally, all 3 Phoenixes down. Fire Giant in tow. Panthera looking to make one last push, but if there's anybody that can defend, it'll be Paradigm.
Now, emilitoo just pushed out the wave on left, but I want to see Panthera all switch to the right-hand side. This is the first Phoenix that will respawn, and so applying pressure here, the middle and left will continue to push on their own anyway. Apply the pressure to the right. Force them all over there. Let the Fire Minions do the work for you.
Yeah, emilitoo's never with the team. Like I said, emilitoo's feeling
But
lonely.
he should be right-hand side right now. That's what I feel. I don't think he needs to go left-hand side here. The right Phoenix is the first one up. He needs to be right.
I like him playing the Executioner. He goes up into the sky. He's dragging people away from this fight. Players are able to do it. Now, if he gets into trouble like this is a problem. Knock up Sanctuary strong, but he's surrounded, Hindu.
But on the right-hand side, though, Panthera trying to answer back, but defense is good from Paradigm. 1 member of Panthera are dead. All 5 of Paradigm in a good position to hold this now.
Spread out. Again, good call by Panthera. Nobody can chase in multiple directions at once. So the spread out works out for Panthera.
And the funny thing is, in a normal game at 30 minutes, and I don't think you'd see Panthera with 3 Phoenixes down, 5 minions every lane, back away from a team.
Sure.
You're not going to do that. But the problem is that Paradigm have exactly the same amount of items online. They have the same amount of damage, if not more in certain scenarios, they can defend against the onslaught of a 4-man Panthera unit.
Paradigm coming into this one red hot. Panthera, you expect to start the season red hot. Paradigm traditionally have sort of ramped up to amp up. At this point, though, this is uncharacteristic of Paradigm, bringing the hammer this hard in game number 1.
And emilitoo right now, the problem with him falling means that the mid Phoenix and the left-hand Phoenix will both respawn. It gives Paradigm 2 options to defend again. We saw that they could defend a weakened Phoenix before on the right-hand side at one point before the split push happened. Both Phoenixes spawned at the same time, and now Panthera, well, they're going to have to bring those down again.
Adapting, trying to decide if he's mid or right side. Just playing it so safe right now, Hindu. Really doesn't want to go in unless absolutely necessary.
The game's balanced on a knife edge still. I mean, one deicide. You take out the damage dealers from either team. You don't even need to take out the whole team. Just take out the damage dealers. The tanks can't defend alone.
I was just going to say that. Panthera don't even need a deicide. Panthera need to take out QvoFred and Funballer. Lawbster will fall down if those 2 fall down. Paradigm, they kill 3-4 players. The game's theirs.
Indeed. I mean, especially when you get adapting Yammyn and emilitoo are the 3 overall that you got to take out on the side of Panthera. Paradigm needs to have Cuvo, Lawbster, and Funballer die. It's pretty much that simple. 3 of either team and should be good. But 52 minutes in now. Longest game of the split so far, Tom.
That's
good day
true.
1. Good day 1.
Longest game.
This is only game 1 between these 2, though.
Absolutely. Shot just off the mark. Can't find the mid lane assassin just yet. emilitoo again, alone by himself on the right-hand side.
I'd like to see emilitoo group up now. I mean, to be fair, they should probably look at splitting 2 and 2 in the left and middle here. Pressure both right. One's going to push himself, as I said before. You don't have to worry about that one. Last time we saw Emil go on his own as well. What happened? He got picked.
Yes. Fooled me once, though, right? iRaffer now getting a little aggressive. Half HP on the Phoenix. There's QvoFred jumping on the backhand side. Everybody looking at iRaffer. Where's the Vulcan ultimate? Everyone was grouped up, and Lawbster holds on to the trigger.
emilitoo was trying to get the Phoenix as that was going on, though. Yammyn's trying to get in range to bring it down, too. Phoenix is still standing here, and Panthera taking a lot of poke from all these meatballs coming out.
Look at
and those
adapting.
turrets.
Look at adapting.
He wants to get around the back.
Nobody can see him. He's coming in from the right-hand side. Got to play it safe. Xaliea knocked into the wall alongside with QvoFred. Here comes adapting. One shot, 1 kill. QO's gonna fall down. Xaliea and the rest of Paradigm forced into the Titan's base. And Executioner emilitoo from the sky falls down, but Lawbster able to take out Adapting. Funballer answers back. 3 players are dead on Panthera.
Lawbster going to continue chasing him down. Now the Titan paid into that. Dimi trying to juke out Lawbster, knowing that there's going to be a meatball coming. But Lawbster's holding it because guess who's around the back? Xaliea with a teleport. Going to find the route on Dimi. Can't choose an option, no. The boys of Panthera, 2 will stand, but it's only tanks.
Dimi's being chased down the mid lane. Lawbster's coming through. They have to back because Paradigm need to defend their own Titan.
I mean, the right-hand Phoenix is down. The middle one, they go down that way. I'm looking at Paradigm because Paradigm have thrown games in this position before when they've just over-aggressed a little bit too much and made the mistake of like trying to get Phoenix an end. There is 2 Phoenixes guaranteed in this, though. The right-hand one, mid one is a possibility as well.
But
definitely
look at the Titan, Hindu. Look at the Titan.
Okay. That's okay. I don't think it's going to be enough to bring it down. The Phoenix just respawn, which will buy him a few more seconds. They get the weakened Phoenix. If they go for the end, how long's in the respawns? Dimi and iRaffer, the only 2 with CC, have to defend against the army of Paradigm.
Minions have Paradigm's Titan down to 50%. Paradigm now walking into Panthera's throne room. iRaffer gets a triple stun. Damage out of Dimi, trying to chase down QvoFred. Funball on the right-hand side. Dimi takes him out. There's the Vulcan ultimate. Chaos Titan alive, and the Order Titan is dead.
Paradigm managed to hold out and win the game off that play. The respawn timers were just too long to get reinforcements through overall. Ooh. Paradigm hold the game against Panthera for a good 20 minutes, I want to say. Being negative against 3-4 Fire Giants by the end of that one. Hold their Phoenixes. 1 play, 1 team fight, turn it.
We'll still talk about the Cloud9 defense of yesteryear, but this, one of the best defensive sets that we have ever seen in professional Smite, and it's day number 1.
Not only day 1, game 1 between these 2. There's still another game to be played between these, and when you look at what they did, they both executed very well. Biggest issue for Panthera, managing to siege Phoenixes.
Yeah.
Lack of engage against a very good comp at defending Phoenixes.
One of my favorite strategies that we see out of Panthera is the split-up combination, but it just...
It did at points. Like, they got all 3 Phoenixes when they split up, but then they need to choose to group, and instead, they split again. ML gets picked. Big issue. Paradigm
poked holes in the opposition, not just there, but also earlier in the game. Looking at objectives, we saw a strong Gold Fury seal come out of Funball.
Oh, it was a very good team fight from the whole team of Paradigm here. The flop from Trixtank was the key. Funballer's commitment to holding the Gold Fury there was very risky, but it was rewarded.
And it's Paradigm style. You're going to see that commitment to the objectives. Paradigm play aggressive, risky, but ain't no reward without a little bit of risk.
It was a really, really good play from Paradigm overall. I love the way both teams played out. Like, it was fantastic. There was nothing I could really say negative about either of them. I'm looking at, like, very small, minute details about maybe split pushing, maybe grouping up. At that stage, is so little.
If you give me that game minus 20 minutes every single day,
minus 20 minutes.
I'm down.
I like the minus 20 basic. But at the same time, you won't see full builds every time. Then, which is
that's true. Maybe minus 10.
You won't get the same thing.
Either way.